So when it comes to having retro consoles, the NES will always, and I mean always, remain my favorite of the bunch. And getting one was a kind of an odd adventure. So I'm gonna tell you how I got the Nintendo Entertainment System. So when the NES Classic Edition was released, I was excited. When I first saw the announcement trailer of the NES Classic Edition, I freaked out because I was thinking, oh my gosh, Nintendo's bringing the NES back. 30 games built in really wasn't bad. So yeah, I was happy. I was happy with what Nintendo did with the NES Classic. A mini NES. You know, I was a happy one until the new NES was released. They were sold out everywhere, and I didn't find out until shortly after the release. A few days before the NES Classic Edition originally released, I told my mom about it. Hey mom, could I have this for Christmas? The NES Classic, the NES Classic Edition. Because I told her I wanted an NES for a long time. Mom, this is my chance, please. And she's like, okay, don't worry about it. And well, she tried to pre-order one, but unfortunately, GameStop made a mistake. And they thought she ordered like a poster of the NES or something like that. But it didn't really matter anyway, because they were already sold out when she tried to pre-order it. I was worried. I was so like, oh no. So we went to GameStop, and no, they didn't have it. And I was like, I was like, oh no. How am I gonna get an NES now? I discovered the GameStop website. And I searched, since I couldn't get an NES Classic Edition, I wanted to look for an alternative. I was thinking, there's no way I'm gonna get an NES. There is no way. And, well, I kind of lucked out. Because when I searched NES, a result came up showing the original console. I was like, wait, what? They have the original NES? But how? How is that possible? But then I remembered the trade-in, the fact that you could put like pre-owned stuff. You could give GameStop like your pre-owned stuff and they'll sell it. I think usually they would put on like the glass casings. The glass casings are like the gold stuff, you know what I mean? So yeah, I guess that's where this was, and I guess this was in a glass casing, or it was about to be thrown in the trash, and that gets me mad. Sometimes GameStop would just throw stuff in the trash, and that gets me mad. That triggers me so much. So anyway, I spoke to my mom like, "Hey mom, we have another chance. Look," and I show my mom the original NES that GameStop had, and we were relieved. So yeah. So my mom bought it, and after she bought it, I was waiting. I was so excited now that I was going to get an NES, finally. And she said, you have to wait till Christmas though. And I'm like, okay, I'll wait for Christmas. No biggie. And while I was waiting for Christmas to come, I realized that GameStop has a big problem with retro stuff. because a lot of times stuff from GameStop, pre-owned stuff from GameStop just doesn't work. And I learned that the hard way. Buying pre-owned stuff from GameStop, especially the refurbished stuff, is risky. It's kind of risky. And unfortunately, the NES, the classic NES, not the classic edition, like the original 1980s NES, has fallen victim of the GameStop pre-owned problem. But I don't think it's GameStop's fault, because it's the NES itself. A lot of times, a lot of NESs break down easily because there's something inside called the 72-pin connector. It's all the way back there. Yeah, there we go. The 72-pin connector, that's all the way back there. When you would put in like a cartridge, in order for the NES to read the cartridge, you have to push it down. Now, the problem with that is, when you push it down, the pins on the end of the cartridge that are touching the pin connectors, it bends the connectors. And that happens a lot. And well, it caused a lot of NESs to stop working. So I kind of got worried now that I know that GameStop sells a lot of broken pre-owned stuff, and the truth is they actually don't test it. They don't test it. But when it comes to the really retro stuff, you actually can't blame them unless they actually have a console with them to test it with. So you actually can't blame them if they don't have a console to test it with. So yeah, again, the NES has fallen victim with the GameStop pre-owned situation. So when the NES arrived to my house, which was here, duh, it was in this big giant box. I'm like, oh my gosh. And my mom let me take a quick peek into the box. So she brought the box into her room. She brought me over so I could look inside. And I guess it was because so I could check if the console was in good shape or not. So I knew the NES was in there because, well, she told me. So we looked in the box. We saw the console. The console was like the first thing we saw, and it was surrounded with bubble wrap, and that's a good thing. When we bought the NES online from GameStop, we bought two extra games for it and an extra controller. So now the two games that we bought for it while we bought the NES were Donkey Kong Classics and The Legend of Zelda. Now, Donkey Kong Classics, I know I've covered this before, but I just can't help but say it. Donkey Kong Classics is Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. in one cartridge, so it's kind of like an official multi-cart. That moment of taking out the NES out of the box, finally seeing one in person for the first time, I will always cherish that moment where I first saw the NES. And when I first saw it, I was completely satisfied. Wait, does it look better without the flash? Now it looks kind of better with the flash, doesn't it? When I took a look at it, it looked really good. It looked almost as if it was like brand new. Like, yeah, there were a lot of scratches, and now there are even more scratches on this thing, which is understandable because hey, not every plastic is like powerful and everything. So here's the system now. Has a little like a scuff mark up. If you look where the first N in Nintendo is, you can see like a little mark up there. But that mark was always there. That was always there. And there's a little dent here. It's hard to see. Here, if there's a little dent right here. If you guys can see it. Yeah, that was always there. I didn't do that. So, I'd say I took pretty good care of this thing. I got quite a few games for it. I have a bag that's loaded with NES games. And I'm going to show you all of them. That is, once I get enough space here. So, here are all the games that I have for the NES. The Legend of Zelda. Got that on Christmas when it came with the NES. Galaga. I got this from GameStop at the actual store, and it's in pretty bad shape. You got some holes, some cracks everywhere, but the game does work. Donkey Kong Classics. This also came with the NES, which I already covered, and it works great. Super Mario Brothers. This is when you're playing NES, you can't go wrong with Super Mario Brothers. This game is excellent. But let me tell you something. Yesterday no, 2 days ago, I was playing this, and I experienced a glitch. I was stuck in the air. Now, I don't know if it was an actual, like, glitch that happens to a few other people, or the NES just didn't read the game right. I'm not sure. Now, before the glitch happened, the NES wasn't working right. I tried playing Mega Man 2, and, well, it just wouldn't work. So I tried other games, and those didn't work until put the cartridge in, push it down, rub it left to right like crazy. I tried it multiple times, and eventually it worked. So that's like one of the main problems with the NES. So here's Super Mario Brothers 2, which in Japan is a completely different game, Doki Doki Panic, for the Famicom Disk System. I guess Nintendo didn't want to bring the Super Mario Brothers 2 that they had in Japan because it was way too hard. It is way too hard. So I guess Nintendo got Doki Doki Panic and just transformed it into this. And well, it was fun. It's definitely a lot of fun. Here's Super Mario Brothers 3. This game is also a lot of fun, and this happens to be the first Super Mario Brothers game I ever got on NES. So this was the first that I got. Okay. And my favorite of the bunch, Mega Man 2. And here it is. So here's all the games I got on the NES. Legend of Zelda, Galaga, Demons of Death, which I thought was a new game because it had the word there's demons of death in there, but no, it's just Galaga. It's the original Galaga. But I didn't mind because I like Galaga. It's a fun game. Donkey Kong Classics, Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Brothers 3, and Mega Man 2. So, yeah. I guess we're going to... I guess I'll just end the video here for today. So, hope you all enjoy this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Now, if you don't mind, I have a game to beat.